spatial planning team? Have we got all of you?
Yeah,
No.
I think everyone's here.
Yeah, so you're live on YouTube now, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Welcome, members, officers, to the 8th of February Spatial Planning Subcommittee meeting. If we'd like to take apologies for absence, please, Vicky.
I haven't received any, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Could I just do a quick roll call of members present?
Yeah.
So if you can just unmute yourself and tell me that you're in attendance. Obviously, Councillor Staveley, Chairman, you're present.
Yes.
Councillor Brockbank?
Present.
Councillor Myers?
Present.
Councillor Pringle?
Present.
Councillor Rose?
Present.
Councillor Shuttleworth?
Present.
And Councillor Sutcliffe. Councillor Sutcliffe, can you just unmute yourself and just for the record?
Unmuting myself, yeah.
You're present. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
No
Thank you.
problem. Right. Confirmation of minutes of the meeting held on the 10th of November 2020. I've got a proposer and a seconder.
I'll propose it, Chairman, for you then.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Myers seconded. Thank you very much indeed, members. We've got no objections or any alterations? No B's uncrossed or I's undotted. Excellent. Right, public participation. Have we got any members of the public who wish to speak tonight, Vicky?
No, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Fair enough then. Be like that. Right, so declarations of interest, members. Has anybody got any declarations of interest they wish to declare at this point on tonight's agenda? I'm taking that as a no. Thank you very much. So, on to item 5. The reason we're here. Affordable Housing Supplementary Planning Document. Ruth, are you going to lead with this?
Yep, I can present it. Or yeah, I think. Thanks, Chair. If I can just provide a bit of context to this report and just go through it. So the purpose of the report is to ask members to approve a revised draft of the Affordable Housing SPD and associated documents for public consultation. So members will be aware that back in August last year, this subcommittee approved a draft Affordable Housing SPD for a 6-week period of public consultation, which ran until the 13th of October last year. So a number of representations were received on that draft, and a consultation statement was produced, which there's a legal requirement to do that, and that summarises the main issues raised in those representations that were received and how those issues have been addressed in the SPD. So that we then sought legal advice on the draft SPD and the consultation statement. And basically that advice, in addition to other issues that were included, but it advised that in order to comply fully with the relevant regulations and to meet the legal requirements set out by those regulations, a second period of public consultation is required on both the Affordable Housing SPD document, which has been revised following the first public consultation, and together with the consultation statement. So there's a legal requirement to carry out public consultation on both documents. So members are therefore recommended to approve the consultation statement that's set out at Appendix A to the report, the revised draft Affordable Housing SPD, which shows changes, it shows deletions via strike through text, and it shows additional text as underlined and highlighted. So within that document, you can clearly see what's been deleted and what's been added. So approving those documents for public consultation. Just thought it's worth just flagging up as well in my presentation of the report that at 2.3 of the report, members are recommended to approve the strategic environmental assessment and the habitats regulations assessment screening reports. They're set out at appendices C and D of the report. And these are needed, and they've been produced because they're needed to meet the relevant environmental regulations. so that they have to be produced for a supplementary planning document. And the purpose of these reports is that they set out a conclusion whether or not the implications of the SPD are likely to have any significant effects on the environment. If the conclusion is that it would have a significant effect on the environment, then a full SEA, or Strategic Environmental Assessment, and Habitats Regulations Assessment would need to be carried out. The two screening reports that are set out at appendices C and D of this report conclude that a full SEA and HRA is not required. So they're the conclusions of the screening reports. Now, when preparing these reports, there's a requirement to consult with 3 statutory consultees, and they are the Environment Agency, Historic England, and Natural England. So at the time of
as everybody else,
this committee report,
Ruth, we just lost you.
Responses have been received from.
Sorry, Ruth, I just lost you for a minute.
Sorry.
Just lost you for a minute there. I don't know if anybody else did.
All right.
Yeah. Just go back about 2 minutes.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So so at the time of producing the committee report, the responses had been received from Historic England and the Environment Agency, who agree with the conclusions of each of the 2 screening reports. And the responses of both those consultees are reflected in appendices C and D. However, at the time of producing the committee report, a response hadn't been received from Natural England. But I can report that we have now received that response, and that Natural England also agree with the conclusions of both screening reports. So if members are happy, then officers will amend those 2 screening reports to reflect the comments of Natural England together with the other 2 statutory consultees, so that the responses from all 3 are included in the documents for public consultation. And at paragraph 2.4 of the report, members are recommended to grant delegated authority for the strategic manager to publish the documents for a period of consultation, which would run for 6 weeks. So it would start on Monday the 15th of February and it would run until Monday the 29th of March. And basically the same procedure that we did have before with the first round of consultation would be followed. So consultation documents will be published on the council's website under the sort of amended regulations that relate to coronavirus. There's no requirement to put paper copies in offices or libraries, so it'll be published on the website. All those on our local plan consultation database, including those who submitted representations during the first public consultation, will be informed by email, and also a press release has been sent to the Craven Herald, which hopefully will appear in this week's edition of the Craven Herald. So the next steps really after the consultation, if it's approved by members, is to assess any representations received, any modifications or changes to the draft SPD resulting from the representations would then be set out in an adoption statement. And officers would then present the final affordable housing SPD together with the adoption statement to policy committee for adoption of the SPD. And so that may happen depending on the election situation with the elections. That might happen in June or I'm not sure when that might be, but as soon as we can take it to the first policy committee. So therefore, members are recommended to approve those 4 recommendations that are set out at section 2 of the report. Thank you.
So have we got any further presentation on the specific areas, or are we just wanting to field questions from members at this point?
No, I haven't prepared anything to sort of go through any of the changes on the actual from the first draft to the second draft of the supplementary planning document. So I'm just happy to take questions.
Right. So members, I'm quite sure there will be some questions. So if you can give me your virtual, Councillor Pringle, virtual hand up there. If you'd like to go first, please. If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Firstly, could I just ask a point of clarification? Who is the interim spatial manager? Which is referred to in the report.
Yeah,
Which person?
that's me, Councillor
Thank
Pringle.
you.
Yeah.
That clarifies that. Perfect. It's obviously a really comprehensive report, and thank you very much for it. And thank you to the barrister who's reminded us to keep on the straight and narrow with procedures. So it's all good. I'd like to thank the 14 people who bothered to respond to the first consultation. That's individuals and organisations, and I hope they're happy with the response that we've given them. It's good that we're doing things properly. I note that a couple of councillors, to their credit, have responded to the original response, and so well done to them. But can I just ask you to clarify one section of the report, please? I've got the big thick paper wedge here. About halfway through, if you go to page 25, you can find that. Are you with me?
Yeah, page 25.
2.91. Subdivision of sites, criteria G. Can you just give the members of this committee a 30-second briefing as to what you understand by that section, please? It's not a trick question.
Okay, well,
it's the holistic view of affordable housing in our local plan.
Right, yeah. So that section there, it provides a bit more detail about criterion G of the policy, H2, on affordable housing. And it's basically saying that affordable housing contributions will be sought from phased developments or development that comes forward in a piecemeal fashion. So where the total combined development site exceeds the relevant threshold. So that's to try and ensure that we can achieve affordable housing on a large site that may be brought forward in a piecemeal fashion or in separate sort of smaller chunks, if you like.
Thank you, Ruth. That's perfect for me. I thought that's exactly what you were going to say. The problem I have is that there's 10 of us sat here now with extensive documents, and you guys are doing an awful lot of work, and I appreciate that. But 4 years ago, I tried to explain the concept of holistic affordable housing to our development control team. And for 4 years, I banged my head against a brick wall. And please can one of you tomorrow morning, first thing, explain the concept of affordable housing to our development control team. I know as a peer review, we've said that we'll get the two teams talking. There's absolutely no point all of us wasting our time making policies if our development control team don't understand them.
Councillor Pringle, I think we've got some wheels in motion that sort of will deal with this slight disconnect. So if you just bear with me, please, Councillor Pringle. Councillor Myers obviously is taking its lead member role, and this is exactly the sort of thing that I believe that we're trying to sort of address, because there is some issues with the joined up thinking between the two elements of the planning process. Councillor Myers, would you like to comment just on this point before we come back to Councillor Pringle?
Yes, I'm one of those wheels, Mr. Chairman. And you know, I know Councillor Pringle knows well, as do all members, that any specific concerns they have, please do tell me about them, and we'll
Councillor Myers, thank you, Councillor Staveley. Councillor Myers, the problem I have is that there's a planning application before us in a week's time, and I have spent 4 years.
No, hold on, Councillor Pringle. This is not a planning committee. This is planning policy. They are very different animals, and yet two sides of the same coin. So I would thank you not to mention specific planning applications in this meeting, please.
However, I would say,
Councillor
Pringle, that very skillfully you have reminded Ruth and the chairman of the planning committee these issues, and of course Mr. Strickland, and they will undoubtedly make sure that the development team.
Thank you, Councillor Myers. I appreciate that.
Well done.
Right, Councillor Pringle, have you got anything else to say of a slightly less contentious nature, or would that be it for now?
No, I just want to thank the Spatial Planning Committee team. There's a lot of work gone into that, and I hope good comes out of it. Thank you.
Let's hope so. That's what we're here for. Right, I've got Councillor Sutcliffe indicating he wishes to speak, and then Councillor Myers.
Yes, Chairman, just a quick one in the same document, page 57. If interested parties could perhaps turn to it. In that list there is every single parish council in Craven. So well, my question is, in respect to these settlements, could you explain to me the definition of a rural exception site? Thank you.
Well, I think in terms of what a rural exception site is, it's where there might be a proposal for 100% affordable housing outside the main built-up area of tiers 2 to 5 settlements that are identified in the plan. And the policy would support those if in 3 situations. So either where the development would help to meet but not exceed proven need in the parish, or a combination of parishes. The site is small, and it might be outside the main built-up area, but it's small and it's physically and visually well related to the settlement. And provision is made for the affordable units to be maintained in perpetuity for affordable housing. So that's the sort of how the policy explains what rural exception sites are. They're for 100% affordable housing.
Thank you. Because this list, in fact, is pretty well all tier 5 developments, isn't it?
That will be tier 2 to 5 settlements, a list of tier 2 to 5 settlements and parishes, yeah.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that point.
Thank you, Councillor Sutcliffe. Councillor Myers next, and then Councillor Rose.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Ruth, I sent you an email relating to the size of affordable homes in Craven that was raised by one of my regular contributors, and you gave a very full answer. Of course, it is a matter for members, but my understanding of the situation is we are departing from government guidelines on the minimum size. They are only guidelines, of course, they're not mandatory, so we're quite entitled. The reason we do that is because the criteria for percentages of affordable housing on site that was considered by the inspector when they examined our local plan related to the size that we have as our guideline and not the government's size. Is that right? So if we suddenly turned around as a council, this committee, and suggested that we should build bigger affordable houses, then it would throw into question the efficacy of the local plan and the percentages we put in there. Do I understand that correct?
Yes, yeah. The local plan viability assessment included the space standards. However, the nationally described space standards are not standards that were incorporated within that viability assessment, because the local plan was examined under the 2012 MPPF, which didn't set these standards out. That was introduced into the 2019 MPPF. Yeah, I think we'd have to, in order to sort of require those in policy, we'd have to look at that again in any update to the local plan, and incorporate those in our plan-wide viability assessment. I don't know if David Sykes has anything to add to that.
I saw him nodding.
That's all I need to add.
That's good.
I mean, and I understand the reasoning behind that, and consequently, any departure from our standard would be open to challenge by any developer on the basis that it's contrary to examined local plan.
Correct. If we insisted on them,
yeah,
we would be challenged, and
yeah.
we wouldn't be able to enforce it.
But I take heart in the fact that we can re-examine it, because I hate to think that we're building smaller houses in Craven than even the government thinks are fit for occupation. And again, I have this perpetual fear that all we're doing is playing into the hands of those who sell land for development. They get more money, but the purchasers of affordable houses suffer.
Yeah, if I can just point to page 14 of the report. That's a page within the consultation statement itself, and that shows how the affordable housing SPD has been changed to say that the national described state standards are promoted by the council, and then we include the table that refers to those. So it's something that the council would promote, but we can't require, because, as I say, it's not something that was part of the local plan that was examined.
But what we can do is say that we will look at this again and update our local plan if what member.
Yeah.
So I'll just flag that up for further consideration. But I think, and as my correspondent made the point, the pandemic has shown us how very important it was living.
I think, Councillor Myers, you might have muted yourself. I don't know if that's intentional.
Oh, I was just saying thank you. That's it from me. I think my internet connection's a bit wobbly.
No problem. Right. Thank you, Councillor Myers. Councillor Rose, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Thank you. I have to say the conversation between Councillor Myers and Ruth has helped a bit. I do have a concern, and I'm not sure if this is well, I hope this is the right moment to say that when we do approve the building of affordable housing, we are approving housing that is of a very good standard, and that it is something that we should be proud of to offer. And again, with response to COVID and the need for plenty of space, this idea, this concept, well, these lists of minimum sizes and so on, my understanding is that these are only guidelines, but I'd want to feel comfortable that we as a council are going to ensure that we are building good quality housing that is fit for purpose, and isn't skimping and cutting corners. And this is my naivety, because I haven't read enough, obviously, but I need to feel reassured that we are going to look at what we are allowing to be built and ensuring that it is built in a suitable manner, big enough, etc. So please, I need reassurance. Thank you.
Right. Alex, are you wanting to speak on this before Ruth?
Briefly, very briefly, Chairman, just to try and give some assurance in terms of affordable housing. When that is secured through the 106 process, there is typically a requirement in those agreements that the affordable units are of the same standard as the market units on that development. So that should give some assurance in terms of standards. Thank you, Chair.
So they will be equally shoddy. Fair enough. Potentially. Ruth, did you want to comment on Councillor Rose's points?
Yeah, just to say that the nationally described space standards, like I said, was something that was introduced through the 2019 NPPF, and the local plan was examined under the 2012 NPPF. But the local space standards for affordable housing were incorporated and put into the local plan viability assessment. So there are standards that are required to be met, and these are standards that registered providers who have worked with the council for many years have been using and meeting these space standards, you know, and they've been able to be achieved. So as Councillor Myers was saying, you know, the sort of use of the nationally described space standards is something that we can look at when we update the plan. And you know, the policy and the SPD does require, in terms of design as well, and linked to our design policy, you know, that an affordable house shouldn't look any different to an open market housing. So that's definitely has been factored in. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I suspect in the next 12-24 months we'll see house design going through quite an epiphany as people don't return to work and work from home. So it may well be the case, as Councillor Myers has suggested, we look at this again, and in future we're suggesting home office space, even in you know, affordables, for example. Anyway, Councillor Pringle, then I've got Councillor Sutcliffe.
Just two very quick ones. On this question of affordability and bigger houses, obviously there's a sort of balancing act to be done. Because if you start building bigger affordable houses, developers will come to you with a viability study and say, we can't do it, we can't afford to do it. So we have to be very careful about that balancing act. And the second thing I would say is, it would help members if we are going to make a decision in the distant future before we change the plan about the house sizes. It would help us if we had a site visit and looked at a 70 square metre house so that we know what we're talking about, because I'm sure some people do, and I'm pretty sure some people won't. So if we are going to make decisions about it, let's look at it on the ground. Thank you.
Just looking for an excuse to get outdoors, aren't you, Councillor Pringle?
Yep.
Right then. Councillor Sutcliffe, could I have you? I think Councillor Pringle was just a mistake. We put hand up then. And then if there's nothing else, we'll go to the vote. Councillor Sutcliffe.
Thank you, Chairman. If it affords any reassurance to Councillor Rose, in these documents towards the end, there is a fully detailed specification of the requirements of an affordable house. Everything down to the type of bath taps that have to be fitted and minor details such as that. And in response to Councillor Pringle, I've perhaps been on this committee a bit longer than him, but the committee did in fact do a tour of affordable houses, and we looked at several different examples in different parts of the patch. And Craven does build good quality affordable houses. We don't have any fogs, flats over garages, or coffin dining rooms that only accommodate two, one at each end of the table. And I think our reputation for building decent affordable houses will stand inspection. And if the committee are so minded, I'm sure we could arrange COVID ID implications being over, a tour of some of our examples that the present contractors are building. Okay, Chairman.
Very much, Councillor Sutcliffe. Right, members, if there's nobody else wants to say anything, I think we should just go to the vote on this. Vicky, over to you, because you'll need to do the roll call, I assume, for this, will you?
Yes, please, Chair. So if I just call your name out and say whether you're for, against, or you're abstaining from the recommendations as shown in the report.
Yeah, can I just clarify, are we going to just take the vote on block for recommendations 2.1 to 2.4?
We can take them all at the same time, if that's okay.
Yeah, that was my assumption.
Yeah, is that all right with you, Chair?
Yeah, that was my assumption.
We'll just do the one vote, unless any members got any objection to that. Oh, okay. Right. Chairman,
4.
Councillor Brockbank,
4.
Councillor Myers,
I think we may have lost Councillor Myers to the internet.
yeah, we have, I think. I can't see him. Councillor Pringle,
4.
Councillor Rose,
4.
Councillor Shuttleworth,
4.
and Councillor Sutcliffe.
4.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, item 6, any other business? I don't think there is at this time. Oh, Ruth, if you would like to.
Sorry, yeah. I suppose it would fit under any other business. I just wanted to remind members that the 2019-20 Authority Monitoring Report. So members will be aware that we produce an Authority Monitoring Report every year, and the 2019-21 has just been published on the council's website. So you all had an email, I think, just informing you of all that. The email includes some sort of key indicator results as well in terms of the content of that AMR, and that the next AMR so that'll be for the year 2020 to 21 will be published later this year in the autumn. So it was just to sort of flag that up.
Right,
Thank you.
Councillor Pringle, were you swatting flies or were you gesticulating to speak?
Now, I'd love to speak to you, please, because I think we're in danger of getting on the internet as some sort of a sensation. Members are trying to join the next meeting and sending me text because we haven't got a clue. They don't know when the next meeting is starting and they're all tearing their hair out. So can we please, Vicky, have a way of emailing people and saying when that meeting will start or something?
When we stop flapping our gums, that's when it'll start. So let's get moving. I think that will be a good start. Vicky?
Yeah, well, I think you've finished now, haven't you, Chair?
Yep,
So if
absolutely. I will drop. We've only got